One more thing. What if Kyrie Irving gets his revenge in Boston? What does that mean for the Mavs and more? Talk about that on One More Thing right now.
I'm here because I have to be.
Dallas is going to get a seat at the table.
That's it. It's me versus the machine. Don't let his whiteness take away from his quickness.
You can rest later. You're young.
I'm here in color here.
Wait. One more thing.
Yeah. Welcome. You're still locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and your best friend covering the Dallas Mavericks on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And joining me, Reggie Adetula from 105.3 The Fan. What you got for me, Reggie?
Music's still great. Still great.
Still great.
Still great.
Still great. Still great on this Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we've got more What If questions. We did this yesterday on the What If. This is the bonus episode of Locked On Mavs. We got the crossover with John Krause we did earlier today. Now we've got the one more thing. It's a bonus. And let's do some What If statements. What if Kyrie Irving scoring is limited, like in the OKC series? What if the Mavs win in 5? What if the Celtics win in 5? We'll do some of those, maybe some extra ones if we got time. But I want to start with this one, Reggie.
Okay.
What if Kyrie Irving gets his revenge? Now, John Krause on Locked On Celtics thinks that Kyrie does not have a leg to stand on when it comes to revenge because Kyrie was the one that turned the Celtics down. And he's the one that said he didn't want to come back, or that he, in the end, he said he didn't want to come back because he did say he wanted to come back at some point. Celtics are going to give him a contract, and Kyrie decided to go somewhere else. He decided to join KD and do all that kind of stuff. Does it count as revenge if you're the one that left? Let's just start with that.
I don't know if it counts as revenge per se, but I mean, why do we need to be so specific about the words when we know there's bad blood? Y'all know what we mean when we say revenge. Come on now. Like, them folks don't like him.
What does
them
he
folks
mean?
don't like him.
No, they don't. They boot him every
like
single
him.
time he touched the ball when they played on March 1st. It's every
I don't
single
know
time.
I don't know if there's a place that don't like him nearly as much. And that says something. And so if you go into a place where they don't like you and you show out on them, I mean, is it revenge? Is it some other word? I don't know, but you know exactly what we're talking about, right? Like, I feel like that's what we need to clarify here. You know what we mean. And I mean, if he's capable of doing that, for one, it feels like it falls in line with him. I mean, him playing on the road against a former team, his numbers go up. And I don't know what it is to, like, say maybe he has a level of comfort in the buildings that he played in. I don't know, but those numbers go up in a lot of different places. And so I don't know if that means that there is something within him, but then also I feel like it ends up, and look, this is I guess the radio part of me. There's been a lot of redemption arc with Kyrie that we've done when I don't know. And some of that is very much drummed up, but I think that it would serve to highlight for him. Like he's talked a lot about the way that he's grown. I think it would serve to highlight that in some ways that, hey man, like this is a different dude all the way around. And so he's come around, he's found a place where he feels like home. He feels like he can be himself in a way. And his new self, his improved self, a better version of himself. And this is the Kyrie that you were hoping for the whole time. Like, I don't know if this ends up going to the kind of relationships place where it's like, why weren't you like that when we were together? But ultimately, he gets to be the best version of himself.
Couldn't do that for me. Couldn't do that when we were together. Couldn't commit.
Right. And now here he is, committed, lovely father, caring husband, all those things.
Took me out on my birthday. did all the thing. Let's say, so he in the regular season, he got 19 points in the loss at Boston. He had 23 points in the loss at home. And so he didn't really have great shooting games in either of those. Didn't really have huge games in either one of those, you would say. Does he have to get 30 a game? What's revenge? What's enough of revenge? Is it just that they win? If they win, no matter how he plays, that's enough of him getting that quote-unquote revenge? I
mean, it does feel like that because, again, this is where I'll lean on the narrative of it all. When he went to Boston, the clear conversation was this is a dude who's ready to be the guy. Yeah. He's not the guy here as much as I know Luka Doncic will point to him. He has fully accepted a situation in which I'm ready to contribute in the ways that I can, however I can, to winning. That absolutely leans into the new version, I guess, for lack of a better way of saying it, of what Kyrie is doing. And so if he is able to do the things and be leader guy and, step up in the moments where you have the non-Luka minutes or you need his particular set of skills, I think that means more than if he's just like, here, I put down umpteen buckets and that means that I showed y'all. I think that is particularly what it felt like he was lacking in Boston. He wanted to be leader guy, but he couldn't be that for him. And here he is with another team actively being that in a way that he was not capable of doing anywhere else, to be completely honest.
Umpteenth is a great word. That's good word usage, Reggie.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Kyrie has an opportunity to be the third best player in this series and even the second best player in this series. I think the first will be Luka. I think Tatum and Brown both will be up there as well. But I think Kyrie definitely has an opportunity because Tatum has not shot the ball too well in these playoffs. 29% from three, I think, so far in the playoffs. And Jaylen Brown was the Eastern Conference player of the the conference in the Pacers series. So Tatum has not been his normal self. And Jaylen Brown, we've seen in moments like him not necessarily crumble, but not necessarily step up in huge moments for them. And he's still coming along in his career. And can he drive left? And, there's the big questions about him for sure.
Right.
The defense will have a lot of attention on Luka Doncic. If Kyrie Irving can take advantage of the defense, of how much Luka bends the defenses to his will, he has, and if Kyrie shoots well, and if Kyrie does all the things that we expect him to do, he does have the opportunity to be the second best, definitely the third best player in this series. And to me, I think that's what would get him revenge. If he's clearly the third best player, or even clearly the second best player, obviously, he would be that would be a huge moment for him to say, hey, didn't need this team. The things he said on the way out, all that. Maybe that's what he's getting revenge for, all that. He'll probably never say any of that. He's probably not going to mention anything about Boston or anything. But maybe if it's just something deep down inside him that's just like, you know what? I kind of want that. It would feel good. It'd feel good to win the breakup, basically, at that point.
And I think one of the things that we also can't forget, I was talking with a BetQL show this weekend, the idea of Kyrie and, his MVP odds for finals MVP. And I was like, one thing that Kyrie does is make big shots in big moments. We can't ignore the idea that he has the opportunity to do that numerous times during the course of the series and show like that particular set of skills that team has some issues with, right? Those closing things when it comes to Boston. Hey, look, I've got that in spades as Kyrie Irving, and that could be the thing that puts my team over yours.
Kyrie plus 2,000 on FanDuel to win the finals MVP. Tatum is minus 120, so he's the favorite for sure. Luka is plus 210. Jaylen Brown is plus 600. Kyrie plus 2,000. So the Celtics are getting some they're getting some extra odds here, but Derrick White is plus 3,500. Kyrie plus 2,000. So there's not a big difference. Almost the same difference between Kyrie and Derrick White than Kyrie and Jaylen Brown. So that's big to me. What if Kyrie Irving's scoring is limited the same way it was in the OKC series? Because you do have two all-defensive guards in Derrick White and Jrue Holiday. And one of the reasons why Kyrie probably struggled in those games and definitely struggled in the games against Boston was that he had really good defenders on him. What if his scoring is limited like it was in the second round?
That would be a little concerning, but then I also would ask, what is he doing when it comes to facilitating? Because I mean, he's that primary instance, but if his scoring is limited, and I'm going to use the Thunder because I view this series as like the Celtics being a better version of the Thunder. If they are trying to do the thing where they take away Kyrie Irving, they take away Luka Doncic, they take away the rim, but then they open up those corners. If he is finding a way to manipulate defenses and then get the ball to those corners and you're able to beat them that way, again, I feel like that's a win. Is he still defensively giving you that stout perimeter defense where it's like I'm making it difficult on this ball handler to do what they want to do? I think that you're capable of living with that, but it would be very frustrating if you're not able to get his punch because after you have a Luka Doncic punch, because that's the thing that really cripples a team when you go, oh damn, we can't stop either of them. And if you can slow down one of them, that makes it a lot more manageable, especially for a very good Clippers or Celtics team rather.
Yeah, my answer to this, what if Kyrie Irving's scoring is limited like it was in the OKC series? Then he has to contribute in other ways, in big ways. He's got to have double-digit assist games. He's got to have a game where you go all of a sudden, oh my God, like Derrick White has 0 points. Like something like that, where he's guarding a guy to the point where he's taking them out of the series like he did with Jaylen Williams. Jaylen Williams did not have a good series, and Kyrie was the main defender on him. And I think that if Kyrie can contribute in other ways, passing, defense, things that maybe the Celtics aren't used to Kyrie doing that he's doing now for the Mavericks. If it's getting steals and deflections, and if it's getting out in transition, if it's getting some big rebounds that he's gotten definitely before, he has to contribute in other ways, and I think that's something that we need to watch. And
Kyrie. Also the perfect timing of shots, even if he's not getting a lot of those, that pull up jumper in transition, if he can get one or two of those, right? Even if it's like, hey, he had 13 points, but a couple of those were ones that got the building going. If you're playing in the AAC or really shut down the building, the TD Garden, right? I think that also helps.
I think some of Kyrie's shots could get the building going in TD Garden in a different way. The booze will rain down. Definitely get them going. Coming up, what if the Mavs win in 5? What happens if that happens? What if the Celtics win in 5? What would have happened if that happens? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds that you can use to get in on the action. We mentioned the finals MVP on FanDuel. Tatum minus 120, Luka plus 210, Jaylen Brown plus 600. If you really believe in Kyrie Irving, plus 2,000. It's crazy. Imagine if Kyrie Irving, 35 points a game, 6 assists, huge shots, good defense, all this, and then he becomes finals MVP. You could win on that. Celtics are minus 6. They were minus 6.5 earlier today. We're recording this Sunday night, but the Celtics are minus 6 in game 1. You can get that. You can also get the finals. Celtics minus 225, so they are the definite favorites in this one. All kinds of stuff on FanDuel. Use the go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Put down a $5 bet, and if you win, that's $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. The one more thing, hanging out with us here with Reggie Adetula. Thanks for being part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. Subscribe to the subtext, do all that kind of stuff. We're answering what if questions, what if statements. Let's do the same way we did in the first one. Let's do the bad one first, and then we'll end on the good one. What if the Celtics win in 5? What does that mean that happened to the Mavericks if the Celtics win in 5?
You had a team that was going to knock down threes in a way that you were probably not going to do. Like that's the thing that is the most scary. You have had teams all the way through this run, and I'm not here to do the thing where the Mavs run to the title has been weak, because that would be absolute nonsense. But we can look at the ways that the Clippers were supposed to be a really good 3-point shooting team, and they didn't get that all the way through, right? The Thunder did not shoot all that particularly well. The Minnesota Timberwolves, I mean, that they had moments, but they did not have a consistency of 3-point shooting. The Celtics have that possibility, as that's built into what they do. And if that math starts, shifting on you where they are knocking down threes, that ends up being tough, right? I feel like that would be a large part of this, in addition to maybe somehow making it difficult. And I know Joe Mazzulla had an interesting comment about the idea of, you're not going to stop Luka and Kyrie. The only idea is to try and slow it down on them. Maybe they make it tough enough for Luka and Kyrie where they're not able to do the big things, and their guards are able to stymie you on the perimeter and not allow that, or have that 3-2 math trade-off where they're knocking down threes, you're knocking down twos, and ultimately that gives them the edge. I feel like that would be a big factor in them being able to win this handily, would just be they're knocking down shots in a way that's tough to handle.
Regular season, this is the stat I keep sharing because it's insane. Celtics went 38-1 when they hit 39% of their threes or more.
Is that good?
38-1. In the playoffs, they're 11-0 when they hit 13 or more threes. Now, they've only lost 2 games, but in the 2 games, they lost the 3-point battle by 11 to Miami and by 5 to Cleveland. Those are the only 2 games they lost the whole playoff so far, is they lost the 3-point battle. That is huge. It's massive. If the Mavericks get dominated in the 3-point battle, then I think the Celtics could win in 5 for sure. I think what we also would look at, so the 3-pointers is a great point by you. The other part of it is we go, the Celtics didn't have to work basically until this point. And so they were the one that was more rested and more ready. Whereas the Mavericks have Luka's injury, have Kyrie has been working really hard throughout this whole thing. Maxey dealing with an injury, Lively dealing with the next sprain injury. Everybody feels like Derrick Jones Jr. gets hit in the below the belt every single game. So he's been dealing with stuff. Everybody seems to be dealing with some kind of injury throughout all this. And so maybe the Mavs will be the one. All right, well, the Mavs were worked all the way down and can't come back and can't muster enough strength to beat the Celtics. I feel like that narrative would come through too if the Mavs got beaten 5. I feel like that would be one of them.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That feels like the main thing is that they're capable of doing that to you, and then I don't even know how upset I would be, but I mean, obviously, it'd be frustrating because of the run that you've had and the difficulty that it's been to get here to this place. You would hate for it to happen that quickly.
Yeah, in 5, it would be like, it would feel like the Warriors series from 2022, right? It's just the next level of it where you go, they just weren't ready for that.
Right, exactly.
They beat a team they had no business beating in the Phoenix Suns, and then you get to the Warriors, you're like, we just don't match up well at all because matchups determine a lot. Matchups determine a lot. The Mavs beat the Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets. And do I know if the Nuggets would beat the Mavs or the Mavs would beat the Nuggets? I don't know that.
And timeline matchups as well, right?
Sure.
I think that when we talk about the timeline of a team,
yeah,
this is still pretty early on in what the Mavericks have, and it seems kind of wild to say that, but this is built for a few years, and so this feels like an opening of a window still. I'm doing the loser talk early. My bad, y'all. I'm gonna.
No. That's the thing we did. What if the Mavs win in 5? Like that was
or the Celtics rather.
What if the Celtics win in 5? That's what we're doing. Also, we'd probably look at the Thunder and Timberwolves. They were more inexperienced than we really thought.
Fair enough.
Does it cheapen some of those wins? Maybe a little, but I think it would still be an amazing run. It's still success. Even if the Celtics win in 5, it's still a successful season. You still feel excited about what your team did and excited about the future, like you said, and start of something and all that. Let's do the happy one now. What if the Mavs win in 5? I think it starts with Luka Doncic was incredible, unguardable. They tried the one-on-one thing, and it just did not work at all. He beat every matchup in front of him. Like there's a possession in the March 1st game where Tatum tries to guard him, and you go, oh no, like oh no, he's supposed to be this good defender, and that's supposed to be the difference between him and Luka, and like all of a sudden, that might not be the thing at all. So like. I think it starts with that, but then there are a bunch of other reasons why I think the Mavs, if they do win in 5, that the Mavs did.
Yeah, you took the words. I was gonna say it's Luka's world then, right? I'm talking about MVP favorite. I'm talking about we start talking, and we already are in this place, but we full-throatedly get to the place where it's like you can't throw anything in front of him that he cannot dissect, that he cannot completely tear asunder, right? Like it just feels like at that point you go to a place where this guy is the greatest, if not one of the greatest in this league right now. Outside of that, I think that what's going to happen is you're going to have another instance where I guess people outside of the Mavs world go, oh, wow, this PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. shooting thing is real, huh? Like, because I feel like that's going to be necessary. You're going to need them to, at the very least, continue hitting timely shots. And I think also you're going to need them to hit shots outside of just those timely ones, just hit shots more consistently, because it's a pick your poison type playoff circumstance, right? And the poisons that people are going to pick to try and stop is Luka, Kyrie, and the rim. Those shots from the perimeter, especially in the corners, are ones that people will tend to try and live with a little bit, and you have to make them pay. And so I think it's going to be, if you're able to win a series early, it's because you buried them in the places where they thought you could not bury them. And that's going to come down to PJ and DJJ, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, the role players have to show up. It would be like in 2011 where we're like, oh my gosh, Sean Marion did this and Deshaun Stevenson stepped up into this and Peja Stojakovic did what? Like we have big moments from some of these guys. And maybe a Brian Cardinal moment from Dwight Powell. Like who knows?
Let's have it.
What they could get. And I also think that would mean the Mavs bigs we talked about in the first one more thing we did yesterday. What if Lively's the best big in the series? I think that would have to happen if they win in 5 games. Like Lively would have to be the best big where you go, oh man, Porzingis was not ready to come back from injury. Oh man, Al Horford was good, but not enough at his age to do that. So, So I think that would have to happen too. I think Kyrie would also have to have a big series. He would have I think maybe Kyrie would have to be the second best player too. If they're going to win in 5 games, like the Celtics only get 1. We're talking extreme. We're talking extremes here for a reason. But Kyrie would have to be the second best player, I think, for them to win in 5.
And maybe most importantly for me, they found the blend defensively where, it's not just about making the court smaller, but being able to have the perfect rotation and get out to the perimeter, because we know this is going to be a team that's 5 out. That's the thing I've been dwelling on a lot leading up to this series starting is the Mavericks playing outside, being able to expand that defense, but still have its integrity. If they find that right blend, they're going to be a tough team to deal with, not just in this series, but moving forward.
Absolutely. There you go. That's the one more thing. That's Reggie Adetula. We'll talk to you more. We'll have more all throughout the week. I'll be going to Boston soon. So check me out there. I'll be doing media day and all that kind of stuff. So check it out. Thanks for hanging out with us on the One More Thing. Peace out. Boom.